Hi, welcome to the Sales Strategies for Christian Coaches podcast. I'm Justin Janowski, your host, and I started my Christian coaching business in December of 2018, just hoping to make it. I had plenty of self-doubt. I had a lot of overwhelm with the strategies in the marketplace, and I wasn't sure whether or not I could do this. My goal was to earn $60,000 in revenue that first year, and I collected over $250,000. God was so good in showing up for me. I also had a system around sales, and that's what this podcast is designed to help you with. Figure out how to design your business, how to make the right signature offers, how to price them, and how to market and sell your business with integrity in a way that's honoring and loving for both you and your clients. Today, I want to talk to you about income-producing activities. I've called this a number of different things over the years, but I love this phrase that I learned from my friend Tom Ziegler. He calls them IPAs, income-producing activities, not the beer my dad loves, but the things that we can do on a weekly basis to create income and grow our business now. Those are your IPAs, your income-producing activities. Oftentimes, we talk about it in marketing terms as the short game. There's the long game. There's things that you can do that are going to help you build your business over time, build your brand over time, that are going to strengthen brand awareness, get you top of mind. There are many slow ways to grow your coaching business. And I like them. I think that they're nice, but they're not really income producing activities. And I think that the mistake that some coaches make is they spend all their time working on things that are not likely to produce sales now. They spend all their time doing things that are not income producing activities. Things like studying and learning, which I believe in. It's important. You know, the closest thing to an income producing activity that you could have is listening to a sales based, income based podcast like you are right now. So I don't want to steer you away from it. But if all of our time is spent studying, revising our website, preparing content, all of our time spent posting on social media, all of our time spent recording our own podcast, all of our time is spent building a YouTube presence or writing blogs or email newsletters, then we're not going to have any sales. It's okay for a portion of our time to be spent on those long game activities, but a certain amount of our time needs to be spent on the short game or the income producing activities that can actually lead to sales this month, that can lead to income right now, so that we can make it to the long game, so that we have enough time to develop our brand and attract our ideal clients over a long period of time. The short game or the income producing activities, these are the things that are lacking from most coaches. The reason that most coaches aren't doing the income producing activities is because these are the things that feel scariest. Income producing activities usually lead directly to sales. And many of my most ideal clients, many of the Christian coaches I love, are really struggling right now with mindset around sales. And they still think that sales is going to be this uncomfortable or negative thing for them or the other person. And so they're avoiding sales. The long game feels really safe. The income producing activities, the actual sales stuff, that's what feels scary. Oftentimes, we're also afraid that the income producing activities are going to produce rejection or judgment. And there's some concern about what that's going to feel like. And so many people stay really busy without ever being productive, without ever actually getting clients. I know a lot of Christian coaches, unfortunately, who've been running their business for months or even years, and they still feel stuck at the starting line with very little to no income because they're not doing the right things. So I want to help you categorize and understand what an income producing activity is, so that you could hopefully shift your mindset around this and begin to prioritize some of them right now so that you can grow your business faster. I would say that most long game marketing strategies include speaking to an anonymous audience, meaning that the people who are receiving your content, your marketing, the effort that you're putting in are not known by you. They're an anonymous audience. So even as I record right now this podcast episode, I would love to know every single person who listens to this episode. The truth is, I'm not going to know. You get to listen to this episode anonymously, which is awesome. You get free value. And you know that I'm not going to actually invite you to buy anything. It feels really safe for you. It feels really safe for me. But you're anonymous, which means that you don't have to take the next step. I'm never going to invite you to buy. I don't even know that you're interested, which is why it usually doesn't produce income right away. Now, of course, if I record this podcast every single week for years like we have now, it's going to lead to sales over time. We're almost 3 years into running the podcast, and it's been listened to over 20,000 times in the last 2.5 years. That means that, of course, we've had a number of people reach out to us and buy, but nobody bought from listening to the podcast in the first 6 months or the first 12 months. It was a long game activity that now is producing sales, but I still don't consider an income producing activity as much as it is a long game effort. Same thing is true when you write a book. If you're writing a book, you're maybe going to get some buyers. You're going to get some people who pay attention, some people who read, maybe some people who really even enjoy it and become a fan of yours. But oftentimes, you're never going to get to know about those people. They're going to remain relatively anonymous. And even if somebody buys the book, you don't know whether they read it or not. Just like somebody downloading your podcast episode doesn't mean that they actually listened to it. They're very anonymous. On social media, you don't get to choose who sees your posts. And you don't always get to know who sees them. You might know how many people see the post, but you're once again on social media speaking to an anonymous audience. Your website is written to an anonymous audience. All of these things are good, your YouTube channel, etc., your blog posts, but they're generally speaking to a pretty anonymous audience where it's easy for people to listen, pay attention, even love the work you're doing without actually being called to action in the next big step and becoming your client. When you're doing income producing activities, you're speaking to a known audience. You're speaking to a known audience and inviting them very directly to your offer. That's the income producing activities. All income producing activities should either be leading you to the opportunity to speak to a known audience and or directly speaking to the known audience and inviting them to buy. This means income producing activities includes things like sending a text message to somebody that you know and inviting them to a Zoom call. That is absolutely an income producing activity. Sending a message to one of your clients and asking them to have a conversation about referrals. That is an income producing activity. If you're inviting them to a Zoom call where you can ask them for referrals, see who else they know who you could help, that is going to have the potential to lead directly to another sales call where you can be with your ideal prospect in a known way where you're looking eyeball to eyeball and you can invite them to buy. Booking a speaking engagement is an income producing activity. Actually speaking to the audience is an exceptional income producing activity. And I'm not talking about podcasts. Podcast guest speaking is cool. I like it. I like all of these things. But podcast guest speaking is speaking to an anonymous audience. However, if you get invited to speak to your friends coaching group of 7 people and you come in and you deliver a speech on Zoom to those 7 people, when you can see their names, they can see yours, you can use their names as examples, you can greet everybody, that is a known audience. That's an income producing activity. Every time I get an opportunity to speak online on Zoom to real people who are in boxes whose names and faces I can see, that is one of the best income producing activities you could have. Running a webinar or a workshop, a free training live or on Zoom, in person or on Zoom, a great income producing activity. Holding a sales call, a great income producing activity. Sending somebody a direct message on social media, inviting them to a call or a conversation is an income producing activity. Sending somebody an email, directly inviting them to your free training, your free webinar, is an income producing activity. These are the kinds of things we want to be doing. We want to be inviting real people to real conversations and inviting them to buy. And those conversations that we're having with those real people can be one-on-one. I love that. That's what we call a sales call. Your sales call, by the way, can be really loving. It can be a coaching conversation with an invitation at the end. It can feel like this really wonderful thing for both sides when you do it right. But inviting people one-on-one to that kind of networking or sales call or free coaching call, and then inviting them to your offer is what we want to do over and over again. The alternative to that is one-to-many, inviting people to a speaking engagement or booking a speaking engagement or a free training. Those are great income producing activities. And so as much as possible, those are the things that we want to be doing. Engaging a known audience so that we can share value, provide an impact, and if appropriate, invite them to the next step, invite them to buy. Your success as a coach is going to be directly correlated to how many income producing activities you do, how often you engage, and what percentage of your time is spent on those income producing activities is going to lead directly to your success. And if you take an inventory of how you're spending your time right now, what your schedule looks like right now, and you realize that you're not spending very much time on income producing activities, that probably means that you're not having a growing business right now. And for some people, by the way, maybe you had some success. This is why roller coasters of success and then losing all of our clients, getting some clients and having a win with a launch, and then running out of clients and having to start over. Many people go through a roller coaster in their revenue where it's up and down and seasonal very much in their business. And they have some success. They make some sales, they get some clients, but then they spend all their time serving those clients and coaching those clients. And listen, I'm very service oriented. I want you to be generous. I want you to have an impact. I want you to serve your clients well. But if we turn off the income producing activities after we get a few clients, then we just serve those clients until they leave. And then we have to start over again and start from scratch with no momentum on the income producing activities to try to get a handful of clients again or relaunch something new. And that process can be really exhausting. So what I'd like to encourage you to do is consider your current, where you're at currently. How are you currently doing in division of work and labor? How much time are you right now spending each week on income producing activities? You'll probably recognize that you're not spending enough time there and want to increase the amount of time you're spending on income producing activities. The next step would be to say, what income producing activities am I going to do, and to get clear on a plan of action that you can execute on. And we want you to design something here that you can execute on week after week after week and just turn it into a system, turn it into a machine. This is how you create consistent growth and sustainability in your business. There are a ton of other podcast episodes here that you can go to that are going to teach you strategies on the income producing activities and how to do them well. If you would like additional training and support, we've got a really cool free training that we're running right now live on Zoom. I'd love to be with you. I'd love to show you an expression of what this can look like when done well, and also teach you how to engage the income producing activities really well, identify the most important ones for you, and maybe overcome some of the sales resistance you've had in the past so that you can have more success in your business. To join us on that masterclass, it's called Land More Coaching Clients. Go to www.landcoachingclients.com. I would love for you to spend that time with us. I look forward to seeing you soon. God bless you and have a great week. Let's get those income producing activities rolling. Cheers.